The best cartoon that I have seen recently is of a group of nervous figures cowering behind the corner of a wall and using a long pole to nudge open and gingerly peer inside a large, imposing door that says 2022 on it. Feels a little like that, doesn't it? Like, what are we walking into this year? What rough beast is now slouching towards Bethlehem and waiting to be born? UCC pastor and author Quinn Caldwell, in his wonderful little book of reflections and meditations for Advent and Christmas called All I Really Want, begins his day after Christmas reflection by asking, so, did you get everything you want? Is there a check mark next to everything on your list? Are you totally fulfilled, completely happy? In other words, did you get everything you truly want? You know, the stuff that you want so bad that it's more like a need. Well, I got a lot of what I wanted for Christmas. I got time with my family. I got some much needed rest. I got time to read and relax and play board games. But did I get everything that I truly want? No, of course not. I mean, there's an awful lot that I want that I'm not likely to get anytime soon. Like, I would love for this pandemic to move more quickly into its endemic phase, where it's just another seasonal illness that we get booster shots for every year, much like the flu. I would like an end to the vitriol and tribalism that passes for politics these days. I'd like a healthcare system that cares for everyone equitably. I'd like a serious global commitment to taking real and meaningful steps to address the climate crisis. I'd like a justice system that focuses on restoration and reparation rather than incarceration. I'd like just a few sensible gun laws. I'd like the gap between the ultra-rich and the rest of us to be a lot smaller. I would like the world to be a safer and more welcoming place for women and people of color and LGBTQ people. I'd like, well, you get the idea. And I'm sure that you all have your own list of wants. Yes, Christmas is here and Advent is over, but we're still waiting for an awful lot, aren't we? Quinn Caldwell reminds us that the church sometimes makes it sound like all we're waiting for in Advent is the baby. And since God promised to give him to us, just like parents promising an Xbox, we'll be all set once Christmas morning comes. But we all know that's not how it works, is it? Oh, sure, the baby arrives on Christmas, but then what? Did you know that this is the one Sunday in the entire church year when there are 3 different gospel options to choose from? Now, usually the lectionary is very specific about the gospel. There's usually only one, but on the second Sunday after Christmas, we could hear 2 different sections from Matthew or a chunk of Luke. And mostly we tend to stick with the one that we heard today, the wise men and Herod, because that's the one that most of us know. It completes the mashup Christmas story that we've all come to expect, right? The shepherds from Luke on Christmas Eve, then the wise men from Matthew a few days later. But in all of the options for today, as I was looking at them, there's a sense of things being not quite as fulfilled as we might have hoped. In this morning's reading, there's this not so subtle subtext of Herod trying to use these foreigners as intelligence assets, right? Go and search for the child and report back to me because I need to eliminate this threat. Clearly, the mighty have yet to be cast down in this world. Another option for the gospel is the follow-up story to this. After the wise men escape without going back to Herod, Joseph is warned in a dream to flee to Egypt with his family because Herod wants to kill everyone. And so the Holy Family becomes refugees in Egypt, and only after Herod's death do they come back and settle in Nazareth. And the third gospel option is from Luke, and it's the story of the adolescent Jesus wandering off in the temple and disappearing for 3 days, get it, before his worried parents find him. So in all three of these options, there's a sense that life just goes on. Okay, God is here, Jesus was born, but what really changes? God arrives as a baby and then does what babies do, grows up. And the powers that be are maybe vaguely aware of him, but after Herod dies, nobody pays much attention. It's just back to daily life. So I guess we could ask, did any of them get what they truly wanted? Caldwell reminds us that Advent is not just about waiting for some wish to be fulfilled. Advent is really about longing. Advent isn't just about fulfillment, he says. Advent is always about longing, and it's always about a longing that is not going to be fulfilled for a long time. Christmas, he says, didn't fix everything. It started fixing everything. Christmas didn't fix everything. It started fixing everything. And meanwhile, we continue to wait with all of the biggest items on our lists unchecked. And yet, he says, something does change at Christmas. Christmas does make a difference because after Christmas, he says, after the baby, the tenor of our wait is different. Because now we are not waiting alone. Now we are waiting with God, who could have remained above it all, but didn't, but chose to dive into it with us and not leave us until the end. And that's a message that I would like to take into this troubling, hopeful new year. It's a message that I want to encourage all of us to treasure and ponder in our hearts as we go about our daily lives in the coming weeks. Christmas didn't fix everything. It started fixing everything. And yes, we are still waiting, but we are not waiting alone. And we never have been. Because God is here and in it and with us and always, always will be. Amen.